let me share the presentation with all of you.
बैठा के बता दिया थे अपने में
शेयर नहीं हो रहा.
ये भी बात
I think I'm 1 minute. Open share tray. Okay. Missing screen. Downloads join. Sir, unable to share the screen. There is some issue. Will you kindly allow me to share the screen? Hello.
Okay, okay, yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, you already have permission to share your screen, ma'am.
Are you able to see the screen? Are you able to see the PowerPoint?
No, not yet, ma'am.
No, it is not getting shared. I think there's some problem. Open share tray. This is the one, open share.
Yes, ma'am. Click on desktop or window, ma'am.
Now, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. It is visible now, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So friends, the title for this session is the outcome-based education. And in this session, I'm going to focus on some of the very basic concepts related to outcome-based education, which has gained impetus since we became a permanent member of the Washington Accord. Now, to begin with, we are all aware that India has a massive system of higher education in place. And when I say massive system of education, we are all aware that we have around 988 universities, which include central, state, deemed to be universities and private universities. And the total number of the students who are enrolled in general education is 38.5 million. In addition to that, we have technical education system comprising of almost 10,000 institutions with 30.6 lakhs of the enrollment. This particular huge system is catering to only 27.1% of the students who are eligible to be in the higher education system. So GER, that is gross enrollment ratio, stands only at 27.1%, which is quite meager. And the education system has been designed, whether it is a formal education system or it is informal education system, is designed to produce competent people. Now, when I say competent, it includes the people who have the necessary knowledge related to the concepts, principles, theories, models, etc. related to a particular area of specialization, and then also possess the skills which are relevant to that particular discipline. And these includes all your psychomotor skills. And in addition to that, the third component, which is very important, is the attitude and behavior. So attitude maybe towards oneself, towards work, towards job, towards other people, or when we talk in terms of the employability skills, why this is a second component indicated here, because the options which are available to a graduate once he graduates from any institution, the person needs to look for either higher education or go for employment in a or look for a venture, that is he goes for self-employment. So employability skills also are important when a person is looking for wage employment, and then entrepreneurial skills when a person goes for self-employment and starts a venture on his own, and thus he needs to possess the project management skills to a large extent, and then all those employability skills which are there. But when we look to the existing system of education in place, there are still issues related to its quality, related to access, related to inclusiveness in the higher education system, and the quality of output or the people who graduate depends upon large number of factors, including the kind of curriculum experience provided to the learners, the kind of teaching learning strategies that are adopted by the teachers, the capability of the faculty, and the resources and facilities which are available in the institute, the quality of students who are taking admission in a particular institute, and then above all the management who is responsible for procuring, developing, and deploying all other resources in the institute, and the kind of collaboration the institution has with other organization or the industry. And we see that the existing system has issues related to all these various factors. Curriculum considered to be obsolete because we are unable to develop those competences among the students which are expected of them by the world of work. And all those surveys which have been carried out, whether it was an international survey by the Manpower Research Group, or it was Aspiring Minds India Private Limited, they have carried out survey, or the World Bank Education Study Group, or India Skill Report which has been there with CII, all these surveys clearly indicate that our students do not possess the technical knowledge and skill to the extent it is desired by the world of work. At the same time, the soft skills are lacking among the students. So soft skills have rather become much more important than the technical knowledge and skills. And once these surveys, the employers are unable to fill the vacant positions in the industry or the organization. And it is also rightly said that quality has no finishing line. You keep on improving the quality of education, and then you can improve the quality of the graduates from the system. And keeping this in view, the government of India has taken the initiative to set up two regulatory agencies in 1994, and one was National Assessment and Accreditation Council, which was set up for the general higher education system, and National Board of Accreditation, which was a part of All India Council for Technical Education at that point of time, to ensure quality assessment and also to enable the institution to continuously improve the quality of various aspects related to the education. And these two agencies have been operative since 1994. But if we try to examine how many institutions have been accredited, because if I go by National Assessment Accreditation Council data, every year 1500 to 2000, between 1500 to 2000 institutions go for assessment and accreditation. And in case of National Board of Accreditation, we are able to accredit only 20% of the programs which are offered by the technical institution. Till date, this is the scenario. If we try to analyze what is the criteria, you can see if I have laid down the factors affecting the quality of education, you can see the criteria either by NAC or by the NBA. Both these criteria include number of common aspects. And here I would say that because we are technical university and the colleges which are affiliated to us, or we are organizing this program for the technical institution per se. So going into little details, that National Board of Accreditation became an independent body in 2010, and we became the provisional member in 2007 in Washington Accord, which was primarily set up to look at, it was an international agreement among the 6 countries at that time when it was initiated in 89, and now we have large number of, say, around 21, 22 countries who are permanent member of this Washington Accord, and India became a permanent signatory in 2014. And the advantage of this is all the countries who are member of this Washington Accord, they recognize the qualification offered by the regulatory body. So it is a regulatory body, that's National Board of Accreditation in India, which is a signatory to Washington Accord. So the students are at advantageous position that those who graduate from the accredited institution, their qualifications are given parity by the other countries who are also member of the Washington Accord. And this whole process of accreditation is geared towards improving the quality of education. It's, in other words, it is said it's a process of continuous improvement and a march towards excellence. The whole process of accreditation is linked to outcome-based education. Now, if you look at the criteria which has been specified, it is giving weightages to mission, vision, and program education objectives, the program outcomes, the curriculum, the student performance in terms of the outcomes, and faculty contribution, facilities, technical support, academic support in teaching learning process, governance, and continuous improvement is in attainment of outcomes. So the whole concept of accreditation is closely linked to the outcome-based education. So I'm going to focus on what is the difference between the existing system and the outcome-based education. What are some of the principles and assumptions on which the outcome-based education is based on, and what is some of the terminology, basic terminology involved in the process of accreditation, and then we'll focus on the process which needs to be followed. Now, even if you go by the National Education Policy 2020, it is laying focus on the quality education, as because we have ascribed to 17 Sustainable Development Goals set by the United Nations. And Sustainable Development Goal number 4 is nothing which focuses on providing quality education, increasing access, quality, and inclusiveness as far as the education system is concerned. The existing system is devoid because there are so many drawbacks, as I said, that you can think of curriculum which is considered to be obsolete, and we are unable to develop the requisite competencies. The teaching learning processes are age-old processes which are used, and lecture remains the dominant process of teaching learning in majority of the higher educational institutions. Then if you go by the kind of evaluation which is carried out, you will agree with me that the existing system only tests the lowest level of cognitive abilities on the part of the learners, that is remembering and understanding. We have tried to analyze, take up studies at NITTR, and we have come to the conclusion that 80 to 85% of the questions which are posed to the learners, either in the class test or mid-semester test, or it goes to the end term examination, 80 to 85% emphasis is on testing, remembering and understanding. Only 15 to 20% of the questions, they assess the higher level abilities on the part of the learner, that is ability to apply, ability to analyze, ability to evaluate and ability to create. Or in other words, you can say the problem solving ability is given less emphasis as far as the evaluation. And evaluation system is also heavily loaded with written examination. But there are a variety of techniques of evaluation or methods of assessing the performance of the learner, but the whole focus is on written test because we believe in giving class test, we believe in giving semester test, mid-semester test, all in written form. Only in case of theory cum practical subjects, we think of giving them the practical or the performance evaluation test. And then the question of validity, reliability related to the assessment and evaluation are there. Both are considered to be low. When it comes to the quality of resources, facilities, again we have wide number of institutions which are not able to meet the requirements of the curriculum, and especially when it comes to practicals and when it comes to high-tech laboratories and workshops required for organizing and providing the practical experience, there are issues. There are issues with respect to the faculty also. There are a number of vacant positions and faculty not prepared for taking up the teaching load, which is in addition to the administrative load given, and many assistant professors heading the departments and trying to cope up with the responsibilities at the managerial level as well as the teaching level. There are issues. And when it comes to the quality of student, we all are aware there are vacant seats in each institution and the quality of input has declined over a period of time. The kind of students, because easy access is there because of the mushroom growth of technical institution which took place 5 years back, there was a lot of phenomenal growth or expansion of technical education. So the system which we have been following primarily has been the input-output process model. What does mean? That we used to get students or we still get students, then there are curriculum and instructional processes, and there is an output from the system without having any consideration for what kind of output we expect and what kind of output we are producing. So there are issues related to the quality of competence possessed by the graduates. The mean, when we look at the outcome-based education, you can see it is the reverse of what the traditional system of education had been. The whole focus in outcome-based education is on the outcomes of any formal education system. And when I say the outcomes, that means the whole process starts with what is it that a student is able to do on completion of a particular program. So we are talking in terms of the competence, in terms of knowledge, skills and attitudes possessed by the learners, and those are reflected in terms of the graduate attributes which have been specified by the American Board of Engineering and Technology. And we have also taken those graduate attributes, and then the program outcomes have been derived directly from the graduate attributes. So the whole process starts with first specifying the outcomes of the education system and then working backwards to design the curricular experiences which need to be provided to the learners so that the competence which are expected of them are developed, and the teaching learning processes are then selected in order to facilitate the attainment of those graduate attributes. And finally, the assessment is carried out. And here, when you look at this system, it is not input, process, and output, because here we are first determining the competence level and then trying to work for the curricular experiences to be provided and the teaching learning strategies which are to be adopted. It means that teaching learning strategies, the assessment strategies in the outcome-based education, they are completely aligned to the graduate attributes which we aim at developing or which we want our students to achieve on completion of a particular course or a particular program, or we are looking at the global competences which need to be developed. So this outcome-based education is the reverse of the input-process-output model. And this concept of outcome-based education was given by Spady in 2004 when he worked on his thesis, and it is based on three important assumptions. And these assumptions are: the very first one, that any individual can learn and succeed. The only difference is that each individual has unique capabilities. One student may learn those concepts, those theories and principles, whatever we are teaching, maybe within one day. Another person may take a week's time to learn the same thing. Another person may take 2 to 3 weeks to learn but each one of us has a capability to learn and succeed. So the assumption at present is challenging the connotation we attach that we have students who have the mixed ability level and they cannot cope up with the studies because somebody is below average, another is average, another is above average. The only difference is these differences would exist, but given the adequate time to learn and practice, each one of these students will be able to master the concepts and the principles and theories related to a particular discipline. And then the second assumption is you will be aware of this, that motivation, success breeds success. So if a student is able to achieve something or develop a competence or has the ability to perform, then he is motivated to succeed further. So he puts in lot of effort to attain the higher level capabilities which he has to attain. So success breeds success. So even one single small successful experience in a class of solving a problem will be motivating the learner to take up the higher difficulty level problems and try to put in effort to solve those problems. So effort will be more, success will be granted. Then academic institutions which are in vogue, their primary role is to create an environment for success of the individual. That means the role of the institution is to provide for the resources, the facilities. And when I say resources and facilities, that means we are including all kind of resources here, whether they are physical resources in terms of building, equipment, space, or we are talking in terms of facilities, library, computing, etc. Or we are talking in terms of the human resources, which include our faculty, the teaching resources, and then faculty and non-faculty positions, which are, that is, support staff which is available within the institution. Then we may be talking in terms of the information resources, which will include all our print and non-print resources for the course or the program which is being offered. And fourthly, we have the financial resources required to procure and develop all other resources. And in addition, you may include energy resources, which are also essential. So academic institution role is to create conditions whereby you can enable the learners to achieve those learning outcomes and succeed in life. In other words, you want that your graduates come out as competent individuals from the education system. Now, outcome-based education is based on 4 essential principles. The very first principle is clarity of focus about outcomes. Now, when I say outcomes, is nothing but what a student is able to do on completion of a program. But you are also aware that a program consists of number of courses. So it is not only the outcomes at the program level, but the course outcomes, that is, program is split into number of courses. So course outcomes. So what a student will be able to do on completion of a particular course, that is the course outcome. And further, if you break down the course outcome, any course would consist of the syllabus, which may be divided into units, or it may include topics only. So one can think of outcomes at the unit level or at the topic level. And if I have to teach a particular topic, say for example, I'm teaching research methodology and I'm going to teach the types of research, it may take 1 lecture, or it may take 2 lectures, it may take 3 lectures. So depending upon the topic is broken down into lesson. So one can, as a teacher, I'm also concerned with not only the program outcomes or the course outcomes. As a teacher, I'm responsible for the topic outcomes, for the lesson level outcomes, which need to be specified. So the very first principle of outcome-based education is that one must know what are the program outcomes, what are the course outcomes, what are the topic outcomes. At the same time, this information must be provided to the learner so as to make him decide whether he would like to go take up this course, or what is it that this particular course is going to do with him. That means what additional competence will be developed by a particular program, whether he'll be able to apply, whether he'll be able to solve problems, whether he'll be able to undertake research, whether he'll be able to keep in the sustainability issues while taking up research and so on. So what competence the student is going to develop. So once this is clear, then we start. The second principle is, once these outcomes have been stated, clear terms, we start working backwards. We start identifying the clusters of knowledge, skills, and attitudes that need to be developed. So that means we are working from the outcomes and designing the curricular experience, identifying the courses which need to be offered, and then finally deciding about the teaching, learning, and assessment strategies. So you can see that the present system starts with syllabus, selecting the teaching learning strategies, and then we move on to the producing an output. But here, these things come with focus on learning outcomes. So outcomes are the driving force. Third principle of outcome-based education is that we keep very high expectations of success from all the learners. So it is primarily based upon the mastery concept, which was given by Bloom, and it said that any person can succeed, and if given adequate time, so consistent high expectations of performance are laid down as far as the outcome based education is concerned. You may go by that 80% of the students will attain 80% of the marks in the final examination, or you may go by 60% of the students will attain 80% of the marks in the final. High expectations are kept as far as the outcome based education is concerned. So a challenge is being posed to the learners. When you are setting high expectations, you are actually posing challenges that they only need not rote memorize the things, but they should also try to develop the high level mental capabilities of problem solving, or undertaking research or project, or dealing with the real life problems at workplace or in the society, or they may like to innovate in the processes which are there, or they may design something new, maybe a tool, maybe a technique, maybe a procedure, etc. So this is the third important principle on which the outcome based education is based on. So it is quite motivating for the learner, because if we have very low expectation from the students and we say, I'll be happy if you simply pass this course. Student put in that much effort in the course. But if you have high expectation, the student is motivated to put in thorough effort or a high level of effort to succeed. Then expanded opportunities. Now, this outcome-based education provides lot of flexibility to the learner, lot of freedom to choose from the courses, and allows the learner to pursue the program at their own pace. So this is where we are trying to cater to the individual differences which are there or exist among the learners, and we provide flexible time to the learners to learn, and different types of resources are provided, and the person has the freedom to choose from the resources whether he would like to learn by reading the material, by viewing the video films, by going to the LMS, and then, or maybe the person pursue a course, massive open online course, and then pursue a course at a time convenient to that person. Outcome-based education gives lot of freedom and flexibility to the learner to select how one would like to learn, and how and when a person would like to be examined. So the contribution which has been made, we already had flexible multi-point entry and exit system, and now the national policy on education has also laid emphasis on introducing credit-based system which provide for multi-point entry and exit to the learner. So outcome-based education requires that kind of flexibility. Now coming to the basic terminology which is involved in outcome-based education. You might be familiar with one term which is prevalent as the program education objectives. Now what are these? Now these are nothing but statements. What a graduate is expected to attain within 4 to 5 years of graduation. Now say for example, if you are thinking of program education objective, then they are related to the career and professional accomplishments of graduates, where a person will be placed after 4 to 5 years of graduation. For example, a civil engineer. Ji, hello. Is there any question?
All are requested to please mute themselves.
Okay.
I think somebody.
So when we look to the program education objectives, what a graduate will be able to accomplish after 4 to 5 years of graduation. Let's take an example of a civil engineer. Maybe a person who graduates as a civil engineer is pursuing his PhD after 4 to 5 years and is about to complete the PhD degree. Another could be the person is still working as a junior engineer in the PWD department, or a civil engineer may be placed in a multinational company and is working on a project where he's working along with the international team on an international project. Or a civil engineer may have been able to start his own venture is in the initial years of stabilizing the venture he has set up. So program education objectives describe the career and professional accomplishment of the graduates. I'll be giving you example. Then there is a second term which comes as program outcomes. So what a student is able to or will be able to do on completion of a program. If we are talking in terms of 4 years degree program, on completion of 4 years, what a student is able to do? Can he apply the learned concepts, principles, theory? Can he undertake research? Can he design new tools, new techniques? Can he communicate in oral, written form? Or can he be original in whatever he does? Or can he be a leader of the team of which he is a member? So what are those competences which a student must demonstrate on completion of 4 years of a program? If it is a diploma program, on completion of 3 years. Then, as I said earlier, a program consists of courses. So what a student will be able to do on completion of a course becomes a course outcome. Say for example, if a person is working in computer science and he has specialized in the area of software engineering, maybe, or software development, the person is maybe the one of the competence course outcome could be develop software as per the needs of the clientele. So the person can design or develop, I didn't say design, but develop a software as per the requirements of a client. That may be one of the course outcomes. Then while a person does course outcome, then topic is divided into lesson. So what a student will be able to do? Now here you can see the difference. Program outcome is the competence developed and demonstrated by the individual after 4 years. Course outcome will be a competence demonstrated by the student on completion of a course that may be only a semester course, so at the end of 6 months. And lesson level would be at the end of the lesson a person will demonstrate that competence. That means maybe he is able to describe the various models for developing the software. So he may be, or he can explain or describe the process of designing a software. So he can do that at the end of the lesson. Now here, this is what we have been talking about. Now let me just make you clear that when it comes to the statement of learning outcomes, we follow a downward approach, that is top to bottom. That we start with program education objectives, And then we specify the program outcomes, course outcomes, and lesson level outcomes. But when it comes to the attainment or achievement of these learning outcomes by the learners, then we follow bottom-up approach unless and until we ensure a student attains the lesson level learning outcomes. We cannot ensure that he'll attain course outcomes. Or once a course outcomes for the various courses are attained by the learners, only then we can say that the program outcomes can be attained or achieved. So here you can see that in case of statement, the top-down approach is followed. In case of attainment, the bottom-up approach is followed. And unless and until you ensure the assessment at the lesson level, you cannot ensure that a student will be able to achieve the program outcomes. And you cannot ensure if program outcomes are not attained, then we are not sure of the career and professional goals of the learners be met. Now, this is where you can see some examples which I picked up, that program education objectives, how they are stated, because there are sessions which are planned, so I'm not going into details, but you can see that it is a competence which is to be demonstrated by the learner on completion of the program after 4 to 5 years of graduation. That means once he enters a job or he sets up his own ventures. So 4 to 5 years of graduation, what a student will be able to do. Now, if you look at the program outcomes, these are directly driven from the graduate attributes stated by AICTE. And here we are talking in terms of applied knowledge, then problem analysis, which is related to identification and formulation of the complex problems, engineering problems, then design and development of the solution of those complex problems, then conducting investigations into the complex problems, undertaking research or undertaking innovations, and then modern tool usage, which is again related to, as we say, computer science. So we are talking in terms of all your artificial intelligence, virtual reality, etc., engineering and society. So you can see 5 are directly related to knowledge and skills, whereas the remaining, if you pay attention, sorry, I think I कहाँ गया वो क्या हो गया I think
you can once again share the PPT.
जी नहीं this is I think visible नहीं, is it visible?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, maybe I have clicked that.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a minute. So just a minute. Is it now visible? The screen?
No, ma'am.
No? कहाँ भागे? एक मिनट. तो भी मेरी तरफ से ये क्या हो गया? I'm not there.
Yes.
Ma'am, once again you share.
Top right, you can see the share option.
Is it now visible?
Ma'am, not yet.
Not yet?
Yes, ma'am.
Why? Because here it is showing me open share key. And when I open, okay. So this is the PPT. Is it now visible?
Yes.
Sorry. I made somewhere I clicked on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can, ma'am. Yeah. Full screen now. Yeah. Fine now.
Thank you so much. So here one can see that the very first 5 program outcomes driven from graduate attributes, they are directly related to the knowledge and skill aspect. But when we start with 6th onwards up to 12th, You can see here we are talking in terms of engineering and society. So here we are talking in terms of the attitude, the effective component in terms of the professional ethics and the responsibilities which the engineers must indicate or demonstrate. So environment and sustainability, ethics, individual teamwork, communication, and then comes the project management and lifelong learning. Majority of these are the components of effective domain, that is attitude, behavior, which also is inclusive of the soft skills, that is the people related skills, and also managing the projects, etc., and showing leadership, management skills, etc. Now, this is an example for the course outcomes. And you can see I just picked up from one of the institutions from Pune, and this is with respect to that 5 to 6 course outcomes are stated for each course. And you can see here majority in most of the cases it is 5 only which have been indicated. So what a student is able to do on completion of the course, when we describe this, this becomes a course outcome. And then program, a new terminology which has been added is the program specific outcomes. Now, it depends upon the discipline which you are taking and the area of specializations which are being offered in that particular program. So, if say for example, if you are offering cloud computing or you are offering artificial intelligence or your AR, VR is your area of specialization, or maybe cyber security, then accordingly 2 to 3 program specific outcomes can be specified. So that indicate what is the focus of a program in terms of the specializations being offered in that particular program. Then this is with respect to, now we come to the whole process of the outcome based education. Now here, this figure you might have seen because this is picked up from the NBA portal only and intensively used. Here you can see the very first step starts with specifying vision, mission of the institute and then deriving the action plan for the institute. Now when I say vision and mission, what is it? That means if I have to go in for the outcome based education, I need to take into account the industry, the professional organizations where my students are working or going to be absorbed. I can also think of the higher educational institutions where my students would be going for the higher education system. They are going to pursue their master's or PhD, or they are becoming the research fellow, etc. Or I am thinking of other organizations in the society which will be employing my students. All those are taken as the stakeholders in the system, and their feedback is very, very important to set the vision and mission of the institute. And vision, we all are aware that it is where we want to see our institution after 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. You can go in for 20 years, but the age in which we are living, which is quite volatile, which is full of uncertainty, there's a lot of ambiguity, and there are a lot many risks involved in, we may set up a vision only for 5 years, but this vision must be based upon the feedback you receive from the stakeholders. And your teachers, your students who are pass outs, they are all your stakeholders and they can be involved in this exercise. And this has to be a shared vision. It is not that what as the head of the department I think should be the vision of the institution, head of the institution is of the view, but it is the shared vision with the stakeholders. They must agree upon that vision. And mission are these statements to whom we cater to and what we cater. So for example, I take an example of NITTTR. So who are our clientele? Clientele is the polytechnic education system, the engineering education system, and other higher educational institutions. And what activities NITTTR undertakes? It is primarily that we do staff development activities. We do the curriculum development activity. We take up research and development. We produce instructional material and we offer consultancy. Now these are 5 major activities which are taken by NITTTR. So one institution which is going for accreditation must think of the clientele. Who are the people to whom we cater? Are we only catering the pass outs from the school education system? Are we catering to the people who are working in the industry, the professionals, for their continuous professional development? Are we offering continuous professional development programs, short-term programs for the people working in the industry or other work organization? Do we take up research from the other funded by other research organizations and so on? Then who are based upon the clientele we cater to, what are the activities we offer to them? So what are the major activities, the cluster of activities you offer? Then what is the breadth and scope of those activities? That must be clearly specified. And the second, once the vision and mission statements are specified. Now, the institutions which have not gone in for accreditation yet, they don't have such clear specified vision and mission statements. They have, but not to the extent they are not very explicitly stated and shared among the people who are within the organization or who are the stakeholders of the education system. So there is a need that all those who are planning to go in for the outcome-based education, they should go in for having the workshops with the stakeholders and then going for stating their vision and mission statements. The next step is that the institution should carry out a SWOT analysis. Now another term has come, SWOT analysis. That is strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and T stands for threats, and now those threats need to be converted into challenges. So somewhere in the literature you will come across SWOT. So SWOT analysis, that is my core strength of the institution and the people working within that. Is it staff development my strength, or is it offering a program in computer science is my strength, or offering a program in cloud computing is my core strength, or offering a program in, say for example, mechatronics is my strength? So one can think of what are the core competence possessed by the people within the organization, and what is it that will create a niche for the institute. That is S, strength for the institute. Strength in terms of resources, strength in terms of capabilities, strength in terms of the processes which are very unique and original in that particular institution. Weakness is the gaps that exist in terms of resources, facilities, maybe the quality of human resources, or quality of students who are taking admission, or quality of processes. Where are the gaps? Those are my weaknesses. And where is the opportunity? Are there markets which have not been explored? Is the area which remains untouched in the institution, but there is a strength which is available within the institution? Opportunity. Now opportunity may be that now the government has offered a digital platform and my faculty, there is an opportunity, can offer digital programs. That means they can offer massive open online courses as the trend is. So that is an opportunity where you increase the access, you make a brand image of your institution. You also are recognized as expert for your area. Opportunity lies there. Or is the government giving a grant? That is an opportunity. I must grab that grant. Now there is a AICTE is giving 1 lakh grant and the institution can contribute 1 lakh and start taking the initiative. Why not? The grant is available, the research capability is there. Can we have the project submitted to the AICTE and get the research grant and start working? Opportunity. T, the threats. Are there competitors available? Now turn that threat into a challenge, how you can perform better than the competitor. So SWOT analysis again takes into account the involve the people who are within the institution, the alumni, etc., and feedback from the industry, etc. You can use that information to do the SWOT analysis, but the people within the organization, they're much more important. And finally, you are arriving at the shared vision. So here you can see, then comes the, as I said, once you have set the vision mission, you need to align your curriculum to the POs, PSOs and COs. So the step starts with starting the graduate attributes leading to the program, which are directly translated into graduate outcomes. So graduate outcomes or attributes, they are directly linked to program outcomes. And then these terms I've already explained. So what an institution has to do is, once these have been clearly stated, then you start clustering these. And program education objectives, you can see again you are taking the feedback, you are carrying out your traces studies, follow-up studies to arrive at the program education objectives. Maybe you have students going into different organizations, different walks of life, or different sectors of economy to contribute. So one has to take care of the traces studies, and one has to also take the follow-up studies of the graduates. So trend studies which are taken will give you an idea where your students are placed. So in higher education or in industry or other work organization, what kind of jobs they are performing, what responsibilities they are performing, and so on. And from there you have the feedback from the industry alumni, and then you have other resources which you can consider for specifying the program education objectives. So manpower spectrum studies which are taken up, technology forecasting committees at the national levels which have been forecasting the manpower requirements, etc., and research which has already been carried out. And likewise, program objectives also written, taking into account these feedbacks. And then once you have done POs, you identify the clusters of knowledge, skills, and attitudes. And then you club these knowledge, skill, and attitude clusters and convert them into the curricular experiences, which will give you courses which need to be offered to the learner. So if I am, as I said, if I am going for computer science and I have arrived at POs, then I try to identify what knowledge, skills, and attitude will be required by my students to demonstrate that kind of competence. If they have to undertake research, then what knowledge they require, what skills they require, what attitude and behavior they need to. Maybe when I talk in terms of knowledge, I come out with they need to have the knowledge of the research itself, the methodology. They need to have the knowledge of the subject, the courses in that particular area or area of specialization. So where they would like to take up a research. So research area may be related to database management, maybe cybersecurity, maybe AR, VR. So what is it that my student would require the knowledge in? Then the kind of skills. So what kind of technical competence, technical skills they would require, and what kind of research skills they would require to undertake research. Then attitudes and behavior would include, if the research is to be taken in terms of the team, so they are part of a team, so they will have to have the team work skills with them. If they are going to have the problem which is complex, then they need to have the demonstrate the skill of identifying a complex, then designing a complex problem, then undertaking research, finding solution to that complex problem. So what kind of that they need to take into account the sustainability issues, they need to have the professional ethics, and they need to be creative if they are finding or solving a complex problem. So here it is a backward process which starts with POs and then going to COs, then going to identifying the curricular experiences. Now another step in your outcome-based education is that it is a student-centric. I'll take another 5 minutes and then wind up. It is a student-centric approach. At present, the methodology, teaching learning strategies which we adopt are teacher-centric. As I said in the beginning, most of us are banking upon lecture method. But OBE is based upon constructivist approach. It says each individual gives meaning to incoming information based upon his own experiences, past knowledge, as well as the experiences of others. So social learning is also involved in constructivist approach. So the teacher cannot go by what we are at present doing, but need to use the student-centric teaching learning strategy. I'll just show you. And here the role of the teacher becomes the facilitator of the learning rather than the information provided. And this is here you can see the spectrum of learning strategies which can be used. And we have been like, one can simply say, if these active learning strategies which require learner to be active during the process of teaching learning can be maximized. So the shift that should come with OBE is that we must focus on higher level learning outcomes, and we must include teaching learning strategies such as case studies, project work, problem-based learning. Then we should provide experiential learning to our students and also allow them to immerse in the environment and discover concepts, principles for themselves, right? So this is active learning. And coming to assessment, it speaks in terms of that continuous assessment has to be there. And this assessment can use direct assessment methods. When I say direct, it means where a student's work or performance is directly evaluated or examined by the teacher. And for example, student has submitted an assignment, student has taken a mid-semester test, student has given you a project work. This is, or student viva voce is being taken up by the teacher or a team of teacher, or student has submitted a term paper. All these are examples of direct assessment method. That is where student performance on a particular task is evaluated or assessed by the teacher directly. That is what refers to direct assessment method. You pose a question, student answer in the class. It's a direct. You give him assignment, he submits, is a direct assessment method. So the OBE tries to classify them into another one is indirect, where you are not trying to evaluate the performance of the student, but you are trying to indirectly take feedback regarding the quality of the competencies of the students, regarding what they can perform. So exit survey where on the of the graduates which are carried out, they tell you what capabilities they think they have acquired. Alumni survey, though people who are working in the industry and the work organization, their opinion. The employer survey, how the students are performing and what capabilities they are able to indicate. So that is being taken up. Then you can see this is where when we talk in terms of program education objectives, who are the people who can be involved in the assessment? So alumni survey, employer survey, faculty self-assess, the teachers who are teaching the students, their assessment reports, self-assessment reports can be taken up. Resource facility assessment can be taken up at the institute level. So program education objectives would require data and evidence collected through these different types of assessment procedures, which are primarily the indirect methods of assessment. POs, assessment would be course embedded, because if course uh, attainments are there, only then program outcomes will be attained. So whatever assignments, term paper, class work, project work you have given to your students, they all become a part of POs, because finally you have to match your course outcomes with the program outcomes. And here program outcomes, you can also have exit survey, student satisfaction survey. They are indirect methods of assessment. Then the grades, cumulative grade point average, which a student achieves, is an indicator of your program outcome, how much he could achieve. Then design projects, if there is some major project taken up by the students of 4-year program, so major project which they have accomplished is another indicator of the program outcomes. Then if program accreditation has been done, so report which is already available, that becomes the basis. And internal academic audit which has been carried out, they are the assessment methods which can be used to check the attainment level of POs. And student assessment, you can see you have large number of assessment methods which can be used. So you can use these assessment techniques for the then course outcomes, course embedded. So student satisfaction survey, grade obtained by the students, which is indirect method. Faculty self-assessment, again indirect. Academic audit, indirect method. So all direct would be the student performance. Now, just before I switch over to this, let me just go back to that this one, and you can see here that OB framework. So you have specified course learning outcomes, you have also teaching, learning and assessment. So you are doing course assessment, finally the program assessment, and then it is the institutional level assessment, which is different programs. So you have one as a civil, another electrical, you have another mechanical, then you have IT and so on. All those program assessments combined together constitute your institutional assessment. So in other words, we can say that outcome-based education is providing an opportunity for the continuous improvement to be brought into any educational system. Because if you look at the accreditation process also, all these parameters or aspects form a part of those criteria. And once an institution obtains an accreditation, it is not one-time process. So the person has to go in for re-accreditation. So initially it was 3 years, then 6 years, then you can think of that every 3 years the person has to go in for re-accreditation. So if full time given 6, then after 6 years the institution has to go in for, or an institution which is introducing a new program has to go in for accreditation after 3 years, after 2 batches have been there from the graduation undergraduates. So that has to be there. So this is a very comprehensive system, but my only worry is that even after getting accreditation, we start following our routine teaching learning processes, assessment processes, and we forget about the learning outcomes, that is in terms of program and course outcomes which have been specified. So every activity or every single experience which is provided to the learner should culminate from the learning outcomes. And for that matters, one as a teacher must be aware of the course which person is teaching and how the course outcome is contributing to the program outcomes, and which are the outcomes where it is significant contribution made by your course which you are teaching, and where is the contribution which is moderate or which is low. So one has to think of low, moderate and high contribution which one course is making, and accordingly one should go in for selecting the experiences. I'm very sure that, say for example, I just give you one, maybe because I'm more conversant with, not with your discipline, but my own discipline of education, and but research is common to all of us. So for example, if I'm teaching research, and one of the course outcomes is identify significant problem from the society or the world of work. Okay? Now this is identify. Another course outcome which I think is that when I say identify, that means I cannot simply go and deliver lecture how to select and formulate a research problem. I need to think of providing an opportunity to my learners to interact with the society or the world of work and identify the problems faced by the society or the world of work, and then evaluate those problems in terms of their significance and worthwhileness and researchability to formulate a significant worthwhile research problem. It is not that they can sit and listen to a lecture and then can do this. If I want that my student at the end of the course should be able to undertake research into a complex problem, then the kind of experiences that need to be provided to the learner is that they should be exposed to the complex problem faced by the society, identify the relevant factors which affect or impinge on those problems, then formulate a problem, and then they should also be in a position to design experimentation or investigation and carry out that experimentation and investigation to find a solution to that complex problem. It will not only be theoretical, it is providing them the opportunity to select a problem, design the research, conduct the research, and then finally, if I say they should have the capability to write a research report, then I must first they conduct a research and then they write a research report and submit. So it is all experiences which are first-hand experience need to be provided to them rather than just making them sit in the class and listen to the theoretical inputs in the class. So friends, why I think OBE, the introduction has been given, because OBE, if you understand this, the very first step, then your whole assessment is going to change. Because if you look to the course outcomes and the program outcomes here, now here if you pay attention to engineering knowledge, and here you see the word which has been used, apply. So it is application level of outcomes. When you say identify, formulate, review, analyze, complex, now when you say analyze, this is the highest, one of the highest level capability. It is not only knowing the procedures to identify the problem, but analyzing the complex in it. That is breaking down the whole into its constituent parts. And if you look at the third one, design and development of solution, it is that you are design process. You need to, and at the same time, it is not only theoretical, but you need to develop the solution. So develop the solution would require application of knowledge as well as some technical skills. So conducting investigation, once you are able to conduct an investigation, you are able to develop a solution for the problem. So here the person has the skills to design experiment, implement that experiment, and do the carry out the data analysis has come out with this. And then finally, valid conclusions need to be drawn. So you can see that these are with respect to application and higher than application. And the rest of 8 to 12, they are in the attitudes and behavior domain they lie in. And if you look at the course outcomes, here it is written to compare the usage of linear data structures, array linked list, to design the algorithms to use effective and efficient linear data to analyze and to use. Again, you will see, leaving aside it is application and higher than application level. But when you go to topic level and unit, topic and lesson level, then you will see, you will, as a teacher, you have objectives at the remembering, understanding level 2. So one has to look, if it is going to be end term, more focus has to be on application and higher than application. Or if it is going to be end program, then again it is application and higher than application. I stop here. This is all about from my side. Go to the audience if you have anything you would like to add or anything you would like to, over to the audience members. If you have, G.
Yeah, very nice, ma'am. Because normally in the beginning of my subject, I used to discuss what this graduate attribute my student have. So really
G.
nice lecture overall, excellent. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Maybe if the participant, anybody has a question, anything you would like to add or any clarification which is required, over to the audience members. Are you with me? जी, audience आप हो भी कि नहीं?
नहीं मैम है.
So.
Yes, Shekhar ji, any audience want, please. This open platform for everyone, please.
Ji, anyone can add anything.
Can even small any curiosity query is there, you can ask. Thank you.
अगर नहीं है तो sir, I have a request to make to the participant. As I have another session in the program, if any participant is interested, can share the question paper Maybe it is a class test, or it is a mid-semester test, or it is an end-term test which has been designed earlier and used. That can be shared with me. I'm just writing in the chat box. Where is the chat box? Can I add a
If
question?
you are having soft copy, you can share, please, if possible.
Sir, I have already.
I've got from your institution, I've got, sir. But
Okay,
if
okay,
any
fine.
participant is interested in sending a question paper of his, which he or she has designed, the participant is welcomed. My email, you can, I don't find the chat box here.
I will, ma'am, I will
Here
share
is
the
chat
email
box.
to all the
Chat,
participants.
okay. So it is pk_tulsi@yahoo.com. So anybody willing to share is welcome, but send it today or tomorrow so that I am able to analyze. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be amongst you and share my views on outcome-based education. Over to the
Thank you very
organizer.
much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for accepting our invitation, ma'am. Thank you very, very much, ma'am. Thank you, participants. We have session 4 on Sunday, sharp 10 a.m. So be with us, and the link will be same. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, so tomorrow session at morning 10 o'clock, 10 to 11:30, right? Where need and importance and element of OBE, POs and competency and performance indicator will be discussed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I'm closing the session.
Yes, please. Yes.
Can you share the schedule?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure. Actually, sir, you have joined the WhatsApp group, sir. May I
Yes,
know
yes.
your good name? Okay, I will share the.
Dr. Manoj Tiwari.
Okay, okay, sir. I will share the schedule in the WhatsApp group, sir, and I will also mail you.
Please.
Thank you, sir.